Well, I guess I could say it's because I've been on council for 5 terms now and figure I know my way around, and it's time to sort of go to the next level. But really, I think my motivation is my 2 kids. I look at, what will Owen Sound look like in 10 years? They're going to be 18 and 21. Are there going to be the opportunities here for them? Apprenticeship, college, university, and even if there are those training opportunities, what about job opportunities? We know Owen Sound's a great place to retire. It's a great place to be a kid. It's that middle group that we seem to be losing. In fact, Grey County's greatest export isn't aggregate, it's not beef, it's our young people. And I'd like to see that trend reverse, that kids feel that they have an option on whether they have to leave to pursue other things or whether they can stay here. I think there's 2 ways of doing that, and I certainly don't have all the answers, but I'm interested in engaging in a dialogue over the next several years about how we get there. We know that one of the major regional assets we have here is the college, and I'm so glad that the county stepped up to help the college out in attracting this new marine program that they're going for. But we need to find ways of expanding the college. If you look in the maritime provinces, places that have colleges and universities, they survive the downturns in the economy because industry are looking for trained people to work. And if we have the trained people here, the industry will come. The other thing that we need to look at is broadband, high-speed internet. It's absolutely essential for many of the industries we have now and into the future. And we won't even be on the map if we don't have broadband internet. It's bad enough that we're not on the 400 series highway. There's not really anything we can do about that. But if we don't have broadband, it's like not having the railway, not having a good road system, not having electricity, not having water. For a lot of industries, and certainly future industries, they're going to need that as much as they need a road, water, electricity. And if we don't have that, having sat on 5 different councils, I would say this is probably a medium council. I know there have been some flip-floppings, but I certainly sat on council where almost every week we were changing our mind. And although we have done that several times this term, usually more than a week goes by before we change our mind. With the transit issue, that was a really tough issue because we were trying to provide a social program for people who absolutely need it. The people who ride transit need that service, but we also only have so much money. And to try to square that round peg was a very difficult decision, and we did go back and forth. I think ultimately at the end we made the best decision we could at the time. I'm not sure how it would have turned out any differently with another group of people, because what you have on council now is a pretty diverse group. Democracy is messy. I think it was Churchill that said it's the messiest form of government around, but show me a better one. I think that my ability to work with everyone on council would put me in a better position. I certainly, drawing lines in the sand and saying I'm only going to work with this person or that person, that's a long 4 years. If you're only working with this set of people, or I'm only going to support that person. I've never actually seen that done before, that a councillor or a mayor or anyone have come out and said, I'm in favor of this person or that person. I think it's up to the citizens of Owen Sound to decide who they want on council. I'm certainly willing to work with whoever the mayor is. I've worked with Deb as mayor and as a councillor. I've worked with Ruth as a mayor and a councillor. I have a good working relationship with both of them, and I feel that the other mayors that I've worked with, I have a good relationship with. I mean, if I was to come out and support someone, what do I do for the next 4 years if my candidate didn't win? Do I spend 4 years undermining the person that the electors of Owen Sound chose as mayor? That's not very effective as a deputy mayor. What might work and would take some leadership at the county is a county-wide fire department with our contracted professional firefighters sort of supplementing the volunteers. If you look at all the different fire departments in Greg County, they all have a chief. Almost all of them have a deputy chief. Now, those are full part-time positions. They all require a training officer after the incident that happened in Meaford, where the fire marshal and the labor board, because there was not enough training. They all require a training officer. So you had one fire chief for Grey and one deputy chief, one training officer, one education officer. I think there are savings county-wide if we were to go that way, and at the same time not violating, well, we can't violate our collective agreement. I mean, there's lots of people, so we'll just... Probably for decades, the city, the community itself has sort of turned its back on the harbor and looked the other way. And a lot of communities have done that. It's interesting, one of the very first acts of the town of Sydenham, the precursor to the city of Owen Sound, was to write the Governor General and say, in 1853, we need the harbor dredged. There's no record in the books of the Governor General ever having written back to the council of the day to say what they were going to do about that. So it's been an issue for more than 10 years. There has been some development on the harbor. The Corbett Foundry, the provincial building on the corner of 14th, the medical building. We need to see more. Well, actually, both medical buildings, one on each, one on each side. But I think it will take time. The BCK is probably the biggest thing on the harbor that needs to be, it needs to realize its full potential, whatever that might be. The city isn't in the development business. We need to figure out ways of making it easier for developers to develop. And there have been some private sector investments in the harbor. We do have a plan. We just don't have a lot of money to put into that plan. So with the harbor, the feds really need to come on board and say what they're going to do with the harbor. I mean, we've been talking about divestiture for years, and every change in government, we get a different answer. Sometimes within the course of a single term of a government, things will change. There's money for divestiture. There isn't money for divestiture. We've always said we're willing to sit down and talk to the feds, but they've got to bring some money to the table, because for a municipality of 20,000 people to take on a federal harbor it would be too big of a burden for the city without there being money attached to that.